Good morning to each of you on this beautiful spring day where it seems like nature herself is supporting and cooperating with us in this month to honor the earth and our connection and our relationship to the earth. Thank you, Dr. Federley, for that beautiful music, so soothing and uplifting at the same time. Thank you, Gus and Mignon, for so warmly introducing our service this morning. I'd like to share with you, as our chalice lighting reading, some words from fellowship member Susan Archer. She writes, "The earth is warming, the bird song increases, the sweeter breezes brush our cheeks, and the earth holds hope in its seeds and buds. Come, let us gather this morning with joyful noise, with warm hearts, and with hopeful spirits, for we are one with the renewal of the earth and blessedly held in the love of one another." My opening words are from a book by Rachel Carson, specifically from her book, Silent Spring. And as you know, Carson was one of the true and heroic pioneers in bringing to public attention the plight of the earth and our relationship to it. She wrote, "We stand now where two roads diverge. But unlike the roads in Robert Frost's familiar poem, they are not equally fair. The road we have been traveling is deceptively easy, a smooth superhighway on which we progress with great speed, but at its end lies disaster. The other fork of the road, the one less traveled by, offers our last, our only chance to reach a destination that assures the preservation of the earth as we know it. Out of the 4.5 billion years of our planet's history, our species, in its current state, has only been around 200,000 years. Our civilization, such as we know it, has existed 6,000 years approximately. Industrialization that began our assault upon our balance with nature is a mere 200 years old. In the last 500 years, 1,000 species have gone extinct. Presently, today, at this moment, the rate of extinction is as high as 140,000 species each year. Biodiversity is decreasing. The climate is changing in ways that will make human life more chronically anxious. We are on an unsustainable path. We must respond. I look forward in a moment to describing some of the ways in which we can respond constructively. Thank you, Paul, for that beautiful and powerful story. And thank you, Julia Roberts, for that vivid and strong presentation. None of us is to blame for the climate crisis we are facing right now. All of us have lived our lives doing what we thought was the good and right thing for ourselves and family, providing comforts to ourselves and our family as we thought we should, as a way of expressing love to ourselves and others and enjoying life. None of us caused the situation that is called the climate crisis, but the climate crisis is here. It faces us. It is not going away. It cannot be denied. And it is caused by humans. And what is caused by humans can be undone by humans. And so we are called upon as a collective and as individuals to respond. Once we know what the situation is, we are called upon to do something or become less than what we can be or should be or need to be. The following 7 actions that I present to you today enable us to join the millions of people around the world from all cultures and societies of planet Earth to do something about climate change and about our disrupted relationship to nature. The reason I highlight 7 actions will be made clear towards the end of my sermon. The first action is simply to learn, to read, to listen, to take in the reality of the situation, and to talk about it with others, our loved ones and our family, our friends, as we find a way to do it, to circulate information. That in itself is a powerful and important action, learning and sharing. Very fortunately, our Eco Solutions Committee is a veritable library of information enabling us to learn more about this situation. The second action is to not give in to the temptation to be indifferent, apathetic, overwhelmed, or despairing. The more we learn about the reality that we are in, the more we will be tempted to turn away, to ignore, to deny, or perhaps to slump in despair or feelings of being overwhelmed. But that is a temptation we must resist, because every man, woman, and child is needed to address this issue. We cannot be overwhelmed by the knowledge that we might receive. We must avoid cynicism, pessimism, and giving in to what we might regard as an unavoidable doom. If we can take a stand and get involved and encourage others to do so by our witness and by our actions, no less by our words, we can together build coalitions and friendships and circles of engagement that can, I believe, move mountains. The third action is to do something. Do something, even if it is a very tiny action, even if it is learning about the problems 1 minute a day, even if it is adjusting our lifestyle to live more in accord with nature, just one thing. Find something to do, be it ever so small, and do it. The Eco Solutions Committee is once again an incredible resource in guiding us, in showing us what we can do in every aspect of our lives to take action to address this issue. Some of the actions we take might be long-term lifestyle changes. Some of the actions might be sporadic actions, such as the action against Duke Energy that was shared in an email yesterday. Whatever it is, or whatever the variety of actions, do something. The fourth action is to cultivate a spirit of gratitude, of deep appreciation for the earth and for nature. We will not be motivated to do this work unless we are able to love what we're trying to save, unless we acknowledge through an appreciative gratitude what the earth is to us, to savor the joy and the pleasure of being in relationship, an appreciative relationship with nature and the earth, can deepen our commitment. And if we do not find this easy and accessible joy and pleasure in life, in living life, how can we find motivation to do the work that needs to be done? Hence, gratitude, cultivating gratitude is so very important. The fifth action is to shift toward or move toward a plant-based diet. We will never achieve, as a species, a sustainable culture unless we transition to a plant-based diet. Animal agribusiness occupies 40% of the Earth's landmass and accounts for 75% of global deforestation. Animal agriculture, which is solely driven by human consumption, is the leading cause of species extinction, habitat destruction, and ocean dead zones. By making healthier choices for our lives and what we consume, we can put a halt to and reverse the changes of the environment we see at play. I understand that a plant-based diet is not possible for all. I have a dear friend who lives in North Carolina who is in his 80s, and he and his wife, both very dedicated to the ecological movement, cannot have a plant-based diet because his wife has a diabetic condition that would make that deadly for her. So there are obviously variations among us about what is tolerable, but for most of us, for the overwhelming majority of us, a plant-based diet is a choice for health, for well-being, and for longevity, not to mention the benefits to the earth. The sixth action is to think of ourselves deeply and in a sustained way. Thinking of ourselves, our family, our friends, and all human beings as primarily members of the natural world rather than members of a group called the human species. We are in a crisis because for centuries, human beings have been thinking of themselves as superior to and above and against nature, as meant to conquer nature, to exploit it for all it can give. And this, as we find out now, has been a dangerous illusion. The earth and nature, as Julia Roberts pointed out, can do just fine without us. However, we need nature and the earth totally and without qualification. We must earn our place in the web of life by how we live. Seventh, the last thing that I ask you to consider is to think about shrinking your carbon footprint. This is a lifelong project and involves looking at every aspect of your life and asking yourself, how much energy from the earth do I, by my lifestyle, extract from the earth? And then it involves looking for ways to diminish one's footprint. I have given 7 actions as things for you to consider. I ask you, I request of you, each of you, to consider asking yourself one of these questions each day of the week as a part of your regular routine or as a part of your spiritual practice. Real change, I have observed over decades, occurs slowly, thoughtfully, carefully. But let us all begin to make those changes we need to make now. Let us commit ourselves as individuals and as a collective to these things that really matter and that will profoundly impact our grandchildren and perhaps the lives of our children and, of course, our own lives. In closing, I would like to thank once again the Eco Solutions Committee. The information and the guidelines they have provided you, the members of this fellowship, are unexcelled by any congregation in this country, to the best of my knowledge. I have never seen such a dedicated group of people provide its people such thoughtful and careful and well thought out guidelines for how all of us together and as individuals can adjust our lives to live in a deeper harmony with life. The crisis is real. It cannot be wished or hoped away. The wheels of changes that currently exist will continue to grind and to move around and around. What the human created, the human can undo. May we all engage in this important work together. Thank you, Gus. And I must say, I was so deeply impressed by the choir presentation this morning and wish to thank Mignon and all those who helped make that possible. I share with you as our benediction and to honor the extinguishing of the chalice, a Buddhist prayer. I vow to myself and to each of you to commit myself daily to the healing of our world and the welfare of all beings, to live on earth more lightly and less violently in the food, products, and energy I consume, to draw strength and guidance from the living earth, the ancestors, the future generations, and my brothers and sisters of all species, to support others in our work for the world and to ask help when I need it, to pursue a daily practice that clarifies my mind, strengthens my heart, and supports me in observing these vows. Amen.